Showcasing local talent, professionals, and everyday people making Salt Lake City what it is today. It's time for another episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast.
Hey, welcome everybody to the I Am Salt Lake podcast. This is episode 160. My name is Chris Hollifield. I am the host. Welcome to my show, everybody. It's hard to believe 160 episodes of the I Am Salt Lake podcast. At one time, this was just a thought in my head, an idea to talk to people in Salt Lake City. And 160 episodes later, here I am, still behind the microphone, still talking to you guys, still having some great conversations with people here in Salt Lake City. I got a great interview coming up. Natashia Mower, she joined me on this episode of the podcast. She's a great local stand-up comedian here in Salt Lake City. I had an opportunity to sit down, to chat, find out her story, find out what she's up to, find out some of the cool projects that she has going on. And I wanted to get her on the podcast a while ago. Then I took a break. So I wanted to make sure to bring her on when I got the podcast going again. So thank you so much, Natashia, for coming on this episode of the podcast. I want to thank John Farmer from over at American Musicians Radio. All of those guys, I want to thank them from the bottom of my heart for letting me use their studio to record these conversations, for their support. Go check them out, amr.fm. If you're a local band, submit your music. I'm serious. They'll play it. I mean, they are all about local music. So go check them out, amr.fm. And again, iamsaltlake.com is the website for the podcast. Leave a review on iTunes. That helps boost the ratings for the podcast, helps get it exposed to more people. And as always, if you want to get on the podcast, if you want to come on the I Am Salt Lake podcast, get in touch with me however possible. Tell me your story. Tell me what you're up to, and chances are I'd love to bring you on and chat with you. So I'm going to quit talking. Let's jump into the conversation that I had with Natashia Mower at the AMR recording studios here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Natashia Mower is on the
Hello.
podcast. I wanted to bring you on forever ago. Just didn't have an opportunity to sit down, chat with you.
Whatever
and
you say.
Find out your story. No, seriously. So I was glad to get an opportunity to sit down with you. Now, were you born and raised here in Utah? I'm going to back up a little bit. I want to get some history about yourself.
I don't have that interesting of a background, but yeah, born and raised in Utah. Family upbringing was a little rough, so I've lived all over the state. Just like we didn't have a concrete living situation, so it was a lot of like living with friends of the family and things like that. For quite a while, I went to a ton of different elementary schools.
Now, when you say all over the state, are you talking St. George to Ogden, or is it all like Salt Lake to Provo?
The only place somewhat far from Salt Lake, because it was all in the Salt Lake area, but my grandparents have a farm in Fountain Green, Utah, in Sanpete County, so it's like right in between Nephi and Moroni. And I spent a number of years living there. And I liked it a lot. That's probably the only place I think of as home still.
That's an interesting area right out there.
Yeah.
My mom, that's actually what brought my family out to Utah. My mom bought some property in Mount Pleasant.
Are they LES or?
They were.
Oh, okay.
Until they moved to Utah. So, go figure, right? She was, bought some property, wanted to live off the grid and do that whole thing, and bought some property in Mount Pleasant. So that's an interesting area.
I love it. I didn't like it at first just because it was so different, but now, it's such a relaxing place to go back to. And
do you go there quite often?
Not as much as I'd like, especially since I started doing comedy. I feel like a terrible grandkid because I don't see my grandparents as much as I'd like. But it's only like a 2-hour drive at the most, so need to get out there more.
Now, when you say just started comedy, you've been doing comedy for a few years, haven't you?
Yeah, 3 years.
So, that's not just started, is it?
No, I don't. Yeah, no, I still feel new sometimes.
Okay.
But then you look around, and I think it was like maybe a year ago, Jason Harvey and I were talking about it. I was like, oh, yeah, we have seniority. It was weird to think about.
Here in Salt Lake.
Yeah, just as far as comedy goes.
So, when was the first time you did comedy? I mean, was it the typical open mic at Wise Guys?
Oh, yeah.
Just the typical story?
Yeah, I started, actually, it was probably closer to 4 years ago, but there's this terrible thing that people do that I've been trying to encourage people not to do, which is where you'll see someone at like an open mic a couple times, and there are people who will put their own shows together, and they'll just have anyone on. I was in no way ready to be on shows. But then I got started doing these shows with EK, Eric Kepo, and actually Andy Gold. We both started right around the same time, and it taught me a lot, but I wasn't ready. And then I went to, I think it was Pleasant Grove with EK, Rodney Bliss, and Josh Gret, and it was the first time I'd ever bombed so bad. I mean, the show itself was a terrible setup, but that actually, the anxiety of it, I had really bad anxiety at the time, and I stopped for 9 months. So I don't even really consider that a part of it. I just say I started 3 years ago when I kind of jumped back into it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
What got you interested even to do comedy?
I've just been a huge stand-up fan my whole life. It almost saved me in a lot of ways in terms of just direction. I've been just religiously listening to and watching stand-up since I was 12.
Who were you listening to or watching?
Just so many comics. I would come home from school and I recorded on VHS every single Comedy Central half-hour special. So just kind of inundating my brain with comedy. And then after maybe a couple of years, I remember HBO revived their one-night stand specials. And it was the first time I really got into Bill Burr and Louis C.K. And just their style at the time just really it was just different than a lot of things I'd seen. But yeah, it was just always been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first time getting up on stage, the very first time, how did that go?
Not great. I didn't know how to compose a joke.
And what do you mean, compose a joke? For people listening, that's
really no
comedian talk.
Yeah, I guess there's no real format, which is one of the things I love about it. But for me, I am really structured. It's just a lot of setup and punchline. So there was a lot of rambling, but it felt so good though, just to do it. I did it, and then it took.
Did you have anybody in the audience that you knew, family and friends?
I didn't tell anyone I was going to do it because I told people I wanted to do stand-up, but I didn't tell anyone I had done it until after.
Would that have made you more nervous to have them in the audience?
Yeah.
Because some people look at that as support,
Yeah, no, and it's still, for quite a while, people would be like, oh, I want to come see you. It's no, I don't want you to come see me. I'm not good yet. So yeah, that does kind of baffle me. I'll see people who it'll be their first or second open mic. They'll have a huge crowd of people there. It's why do you want people to see you when you suck?
It would make me nervous.
Yeah.
I would.
I don't know if it's a narcissism thing, but I want to represent myself well. And so, yeah, if I, even now, if I have a show that I'm on that I'm not particularly stoked about, I'm I don't know about the quality of this, because I say yes to a lot of stuff. I'm just I need eating up stage time. It's just still taking advantage of as much as I can, but I might not be that excited about the show. I know it's going to be rough. I won't necessarily invite people out to it. I don't want to put them through
You say yes a lot. Do you think you say yes too much?
Yeah, the only thing I've changed is I've just started asking, I'm not much pickier, but I will ask ahead of time who else is on the show. Things like that, but...
What does that make a difference? I mean, who's on the show?
I just don't want to be on a show that... I guess I still do it, but I would rather not be on a show with that scenario I brought up earlier where someone's not prepared or they're not coming out to open mics very much or they're not working for it, and then it's been months and months in between, and then they go and do a show, and that irks me.
But, because it's a lot of, it's your time. Mm-hmm. You have a normal job. It's not like you're a comedian full time yet, right?
Yeah.
So you want to make sure you get on a good show, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but I still feel there's there's way more opportunity now. The scene has grown so much. I absolutely love it, but it's still not as many opportunities for stage time as I'd like. So I will still say yes to most things.
So back to the first time you did an open mic. What made you decide, I want to go back and try it again? Because a lot of times people walk away with their tail between their legs and say, I'm never doing that again. I bombed. I was horrible. Maybe I got 2 laughs. What made you decide to go do it again? It
was just where I was in life. At the time that I first tried it, I was working, the job I was working was killing me. I've always done customer service, phone support stuff, but I was working for Verizon Wireless. I'd been there 3 going on 4 years, and I had never been so depressed and anxious and just miserable in my whole life. And I remember it was before I knew much about the alternative scene. And I remember every single Wednesday I'd be at work and I'd be thinking, I'm going to go to open mic, and I would be just racked with anxiety, like crippling anxiety the whole day, and I'd be on my way there and I would not go, like that kind of thing. And then I quit that job, didn't have any job, and I just dove headfirst into stand-up. Like for 9 months until I had a job, I took every second. I remember being at open mics where it was just me and one or two other people in like a coffee shop. And I would just take every second I could get. And that's what I encourage people to do. It's like, I understand people have busy lives, and not having a job helped me quite a bit with pursuing things. But I mean, I see people who really impress me now who are just starting out, and they are taking people's advice. You can tell they're excelling so quickly because they are just taking advantage of every opportunity. It's really cool to see.
Where do you think you'd be if comedy never would have came into your life?
I have no idea. That's why I said it kind of saved me. Cause like,
yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. You did say that, but, you know, I'm curious, like where you think you would be.
I don't know. I was really interested in, I'm not that great of a writer in terms of like long form development. Like I can write a joke, but trying to work on other comedic projects is kind of hard, is something I'm venturing into. But I was an English major at the U before I dropped out, and that was really the only thing that interested me.
So you do enjoy writing?
Yeah, but really the only experience I had besides, even though my time at the U was miserable, it was all worth it because I took this creative writing class with this professor named Nathan Houck. And I remember I was so influenced by him, overall him as a person. When you meet people who they affect you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And I took, the next semester I took a poetry class, and,
From that teacher.
Yeah, same teacher. And, I actually wrote a couple of, short, what he called chapbooks. And, I actually, probably the only thing I've written outside of stand-up that I'm really proud of. But I haven't, sat down to try and write any poetry since.
Would you like to write more?
I think so, yeah.
Is that something you desire?
Yeah, I definitely want to venture out. Like, I'm doing a web series right now, with, Troy Taylor and Andrew Jensen.
Really?
Toy Soup. Oh, yeah, they're so phenomenal.
Do you care to talk about that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What's that you're doing with them?
Talk about, it's a web series called Knickerbockers. It's about this deli owner who just pursues a lot of random things to make money, just shady things. And what was actually just based on the fact that we had a location. Troy works at, it's an actual deli in Cottonwood Heights called Knickerbockers. And the owner, Jeff First, he's this amazing dude. And normally when you film things, from what I've heard, it's really hard to find a good location. You're either in someone's apartment or you're outside or something. So we have this amazing, huge, gorgeous deli that we get to film in. So we're like, why not just base it around this?
So it's all just in this deli.
Yeah, I mean, there's
what's going on in the deli?
Outside. Just a lot of shady things. Melissa Merlot, it has this great wino character. Jason Harvey is going to be kind of like my stoner friend. And what I love about it, though, but Andrew and Troy are so phenomenal because Troy, Andrew, Melissa, and I sat down and wrote all the episodes. But when I was writing with Troy, they were really receptive to ideas, which was really fun. But then he'd come back with these scripts, and I was like, I don't know how you get from ideas and jokes to the script. I don't know what that process is, and that's what I want to learn how to write. And he's so cool. He sat with me for like 3 hours, and we just wrote an entire episode together so I could get a better idea. Yeah.
So is this can people watch any of this now?
Not yet. We're starting to film Wednesday, so I'm really excited about that. I've never done anything like that before, but we've still got a Kickstarter up for it. We're like almost halfway. We've got like 10 days left, so we're hoping to get there. But yeah, it's gonna be really, I mean, they've won like festival like awards and things like that. They know what they're doing. So I'm just excited for how much I'm gonna learn from these dudes.
Yeah. Now, how can people find it? I mean, is there
on Facebook, there's a page, Knickerbockers, Knickerbockers. And
I'll try to get the link. I'll add it to the show notes for this podcast episode. Is there a website or
just the Facebook page?
Just the Facebook page right now. And I mean, is this going to be a weekly, monthly? I mean, is there any kind of game plan, or is it just kind of see where it goes?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it just depends on filming in terms of how frequently episodes are released. But yeah, so we're just jumping into that, and I'm really excited.
Yeah, I could imagine. You're also doing a podcast with Jason Harvey.
Yep. Sketch Sandwich.
Yeah. I haven't released an episode yet of it though, right?
No, we were supposed to do one last night, but we had some technical difficulties. We have the first episode, Nicholas Smith, who's my favorite person in the world, is helped us write it. It's not going to be, it's for the most part, it's going to be half scripted, half improvised. So it's going to be pretty much all sketches though, for the most part. And I think we're only going to do like 2 a month of that, just because I think I'm overly meticulous with things. And the thing that threw me off initially was, it was when he and I talked about doing this podcast like 9 months ago. It was
when
just
you and Jason talked.
Yeah, Jason and I, we had been writing together a ton, and we just had some excess creative energy and ideas to get out, and it was supposed to be just kind of a messing around thing. And then all of a sudden, Sasha Bloom very generously offered to get us on his podcast network, Earhole Media, that he's starting, and it turned into this, it's going to be produced, and you're going to have a studio, and you need to have a logo and all things. So I felt very overwhelmed, and I was like, well, I want the quality to be really good. Just like when I'm writing a joke, I pretty much say things, I word things very specifically. I don't just throw things in randomly. I'm not very loose on stage. And so the podcast, I was like, I want it to be really well-rounded and polished. So we definitely could not do one a week.
Yeah. Well, I mean, podcasts are, have you done a podcast before?
Not my own. No.
Yeah. Just been on podcasts and I'm excited to check that out, and I would imagine if people follow you on Facebook and stuff like that, they'll
we've
see
got a Twitter account,
release for
Sketch Sandwich. Yeah, I think it's really, really going to be funny. We've got a bunch of ideas for sketches and just going to try and get a bunch of comedians on and do characters and things like that. But it's not going to be too tight. Like, a lot of it will be improvised, but just let people go with it.
Awesome. What do you have any other hobbies and interests? I mean, you mentioned writing in comedy. I mean, anything else that occupies your time when you're not trying to be funny?
Oh, it takes up pretty much all of it. I'm struggling so bad right now with trying to balance just work, comedy aspirations, and then health. Cause I really, the only thing that I find keeps my, depression and anxiety at bay is, fitness. And I haven't had a lot of time for that lately. So I've been feeling extra kooky.
What do you like to do? Like run or treadmill? Or
I
karate
just
or
love
something?
working out. I used to, I wish I could do karate.
That'd be pretty badass.
I bet you burn like a ton of calories sucking at karate. Just being really bad at. No, I about 5 years ago, I lost like 70 pounds.
Wow.
And just getting into like health and nutrition really, really changed my life just for the better and mentally. So yeah, I feel kind of crazy when I can't do that.
So, I mean, 70 pounds, like that's a pretty, congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean,
yeah. And I was like the awkward fat kid my whole life. And
I mean, just exercise, diet and exercise is what
mostly
changed
diet.
it.
Yeah. The dude I owe so much to, I worked out with, his name is Josh, and he just sat down with me and was real honest. He was like, you know what? Cause I worked out a lot, but I wasn't seeing any changes. And he was like, if you don't just follow like a few simple rules I'm laying out of nutrition, like they're really not that hard.
Like what?
You're wasting your time. Like not eating shit.
Yeah, like don't go exercise for an hour and then go through the drive-thru at McDonald's, right?
Yeah, really not that hard. I mean, it's obviously when you're busy, it's difficult for anyone, but I kind of roll my eyes when people say it's too expensive to eat healthy. I was like, I save so much money once I stopped eating out all the time and just making my own food. And now it's so hard to do because I'm really busy, but I'm just more conscious of what I eat and make sure it's actually real food. And I feel so much better. Yeah. But then on the flip side, I started smoking like 2 years ago. So now it's just balance.
I battle with that one myself.
Oh, yeah. Are you still smoking?
Well, not really. No. Yeah. We don't need to get into my smoking habits.
On the spot?
No. I haven't. I did the e-cigarette thing for a while, and then kind of used that to taper back.
Those are harsh for me, for my lungs.
Really?
Worse than cigarettes. It's like I was born 3 months premature.
Okay. And so your lungs probably are.
Yeah, they were underdeveloped, and my dad made a very wise decision I could have been in an incubator, which would have caused, I guess, more health problems, they said. And he accepted this experimental operation to put like fluid from cows' lungs in me, and ended up working. I was like out of the hospital right away. But yeah, now I'm just like shitting all over it by smoking. So thanks, Dad.
If someone just randomly gave you $1 million, what's the first thing you'd spend that $1 million on?
Oh man, I couldn't think of anything extravagant. I have not traveled nearly as much as I'd like to at all. I've never left the country. I would just get a passport and just pick a place.
Anywhere off the top of your head or no?
I think I'd want to. I'm a big soccer fan. Like not any teams in particular, but I used to play, and I just love watching the sport. And I love the passion that Real Salt Lake fans have. And I haven't been to enough games, but I would love to go to like Spain or somewhere in South America, maybe, and just watch a game in just that sort of setting, just with the passion people have. Oh, that'd be so fun. Because I don't know a lot of soccer fans. So I remember I was watching a really big game, and it was like in Sweden. It was like 4 a.m. when it was broadcasting, and I had no one to watch.
You were just randomly up at 4 a.m.
Well, I wanted to watch this game, and I was
DVR.
Well, no, that's when it was on, and I remember just trying to be quiet because I was freaking out, like, yeah, fuck yeah, like, but no, I didn't have anyone to watch it with. So yeah, that would be. It seems like you can form a lot of just camaraderie with people you don't even know, just over the love of the sport.
Do you go to a lot of Real games?
No, I wish I had time to.
Yeah.
It'd be so fun.
I only went to one. I've been to one last season.
Yeah.
But
our fans seem really passionate.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know about
talk
other
about
places,
an intense.
Yeah.
Going to see them live. Anybody or everybody should go to a live Real game, in person.
Yeah. I don't think people like watching sports with me, though, because I can't root for a particular team just because I don't care. I just love it when cool shit happens. So I'll be just appreciating athleticism and a good game. So I'll be watching basketball or football with someone and be like, oh, that was fucking amazing. Like, no, that's the wrong team. Yeah, like, but it was cool. You can't do that.
You're wearing the wrong team shirt.
Yeah.
So if you could have any pet, illegal or not illegal, what pet would you have?
I think it's stupid to get pets that just stick with a cat or a dog. Even birds stress me out. So like, you should be flying. Like you can fucking fly, and you're just in this case. Such a bummer.
So you wouldn't have like a pet tiger or a hippopotamus?
No. It's so wrong to bring animals out of their natural habitat. I think it's fucked up. No, I'm dog hungry. Like,
are you a dog person?
I'm such a dog person. And
do you have a dog now?
No, I lived with a couple of my really good friends for a few years, and their dog. It was when I was really depressed, and I read this thing that humans and dogs can communicate more with just eye contact than any other creatures on the planet. They just have that really strong connection. I remember when I was really depressed, my friend's dog Bowser would just like come home, and I couldn't talk to anyone about what I was going through or feeling, but just having that dog there and like looking at this dog and just like interacting with this animal like was way more therapeutic than going and talking to a therapist.
So when are you going to get another dog?
I don't know. Oh, actually, well, I might. I'm thinking of moving in with Jason, and I were talking about moving together, and his dog is badass. Her name's Franny, so might.
I want to say, because Jason's been on the podcast, I want to say he was talking about his dog, if I remember correctly.
His dog's hilarious. We might have audio of his dog on the podcast just because she's hilarious.
What kind of dog is Franny?
I think she's like a Shih Tzu.
Okay.
I don't even know about breeds. I'm just like, dog. I just see one, and dog.
If you could try out for any job for just one day, like if you could just have a job, random job, any job for just one day, what job would you like to try out?
The first thing that came to mind is so pathetic. I want a job because I'm always just tethered to a phone.
Okay.
In customer service, so where could just go, like I would even be someone's personal assistant, just so I could like, what do you need? Let me go do that, just to change up my day, like go other places, be nice.
It just kind of breaks up the day.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard like trash man, policeman, male stripper, but that's...
Correction, I would be a male stripper.
I like that answer. Yeah. There's an answer I would expect. All right, so here, this is an interesting one. You got to read or listen to this one. Rufus appears out of nowhere with a time-traveling phone booth. You can go anywhere to any time in the past. What time are you traveling to, and what are you going to do when you get there?
Would I be there for any specific amount of time?
As long as you want to be there. So, Bill and Ted's phone booth, time traveling machine.
Hell yeah.
Where would you go?
Rufus.
You just want to party with Rufus, right?
Shoot. I don't know. It's just any time back before the Industrial Revolution. Because I think it's fascinating. Because it bums me out that most people my age don't have no one has a skill set anymore, like tools for survival or just contributing to society in a practical way.
Yeah. Like a welder or a plumber.
Anyway, and I have this this irrational fear that, like, let's say just like the apocalypse happens and somehow I survived. All I have are jokes, man. So I would just be like making observations about a society that doesn't exist while people are trying to survive. And they'd be like, why is that girl talking about death all the time? Like, what is her problem? So yeah, I would go somewhere to a time where I could learn a trade, just something that I feel like I could actually do and contribute that makes me feel like a worthwhile human.
I like that.
Yeah.
What movie can you watch over and over?
My favorite movie, Kill Bill, Volume 1 and 2. Definitely watch those at least a few times a year. Make a point of it. Children of Men, so good. I love that movie. Jason is getting me into martial arts a little bit more. And The Raid, Redemption, those movies are insane. Really cool.
I've never watched any of those.
Highly recommend them if you like martial arts. But yeah, I'm a big Tarantino fan, but Kill Bill in particular, I love.
What's your favorite breakfast cereal?
I'm going to echo a recent answer. I like some Honey Bunches of Oats. I have a bad habit of I'll get way too high and then just like right before bed, just eat cereal. I shouldn't have it around because it's like the best to eat when you're high. It could pretty much be any cereal. Let's not talk about, so now I want cereal.
If you could erase any time period in your life or in your past, is there a time period you would erase?
Just like it never happened, or do it differently?
Either way you want to interpret that question.
I wasted my early 20s working for Verizon. Just 4 years of that was my life. Just that job.
Well, there goes my Verizon sponsorship. God.
Yeah, fuck you, Verizon. You have great service though. It's good. No, they were a phenomenal company.
But don't you think most of us wasted our 20s?
I don't know. I mean, it's people who were, in their early 20s and they're doing things they're passionate about. And I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't pursue it. And it still depresses me to think about. But yeah, I would definitely get rid of that. Yeah.
If you could open for any comedian, who would you, past or present? Like if you had the opportunity, if you got a phone call, or if you could make a phone call and pick any famous comedian, well-known comedian that you could open up for.
Man, I've opened for comics that I'm a fan of before.
Well, who have you opened up for then? I mean, let's brag a little bit.
Is a really great comic from LA. Fortune Feimster opened for her a couple of years ago. And that was a fun show. But so it's the same. It doesn't make a difference to me. It's more just meeting them. That's really cool. 'Cause I don't know. I feel the same as whether or not I just go see them perform or if I open for them. But my favorite always and forever is going to be Maria Bamford. She's just like, to me, the holy grail of comedians. And I've met her a few times. She's super cool. But yeah, no, that'd be cool to open for her.
What's your least favorite thing about living in Utah?
I really like it here. I actually had to defend Utah recently. I went and
share that story.
I did the Idaho Laughs Fest. It was a really, really fun festival in Boise. And I remember I was with Troy and Andrew they were there, and I went to one of their improv shows, and this guy afterwards was just shitting all over Salt Lake. He was like, Salt Lake, you gotta step up. You gotta move here.
To Boise.
Like, yeah. And I was like, well, first
Boise's
of all,
so much better,
I mean,
right?
not to shit on Boise, but it's a smaller version of Salt Lake, and the only places
we could shit on Boise.
Okay, let's shit on Boise.
Nobody from Boise listens to this podcast.
They're the only places that were open as we were wandering around or that had people in them were hair salons and banks. It sucked. And
in Boise.
Yeah, it sucked. And there's nothing like outside of the city that I could see. I don't know. And so I was like, I think Utah Salt Lake just needs to, it's amazing, and we just have an image we need to overcome or get past. But least favorite thing, it's just, I'm not a big fan of the cold.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a pussy when it comes to cold weather.
Winter, I just wanted to get through it, get to spring, get to summer.
Yeah, this has been weird though, because we haven't had any winter weather. And so I'm like, okay, I would rather it had been normal and me just getting through it and be almost done with it. And now it's like, hey, are we not going to have it, or is it just going to surprise us later?
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to it.
So say somebody was asking you, hey, I'm coming to Salt Lake for a day. What is one thing I have to check out?
Dude, I don't know, because I feel like I don't represent Salt Lake very well, because I know
But you live here. You live here. So what's something they got to check out?
That's the wrong fit. I see so many outdoorsy people, like, go and play. Like, I don't have time to, there's some, like, national parks and stuff I want to check out, national monuments and things. And then when I worked for Verizon and people would ask where I was located, and I tell them Utah, I'm like, oh, do you ski? It's like, no, I'm too poor to ski.
Have you ever been skiing?
No.
Never.
Dude, I've never even been, like, snowboarding or anything, just 'cause my family never had money.
Yeah.
And then, but, like, I just, like, sledding is the extent of my winter activities. Dude, we would sled on plastic bags. Like, you don't need a lot to sled. But, no, man, I would tell people, I guess I would probably tell people to check out the things I haven't checked out. Be like, tell me how it was, or take me with you.
As long as you're paying.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite eating spots? Local eating spots? I mean, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Some of my friends and we have been going to our favorite Chinese restaurant on like 1084 South and State Street. It's called Golden Phoenix.
I haven't been there.
So good. I was on Facebook and I saw this guy I work with, and he posted something where I was like, oh, that food looks familiar. There's a bunch of pictures of his food. And it weirded me out because I felt really defensive because he was like, this place sucked. But like, why would you post pictures of your food if you hated it? Weirded me out. He like posted like 5 photos. And he was like, this was not good.
And were they all like artsy fartsy pictures?
Yeah,
or
they were
like
like really nice pictures of his food, like Instagrammed and shit. And then he was like, I did not enjoy this food. And I was like, oh, but they're the best. I felt it hurt me personally.
Do you take pictures of your food or do you Instagram your food?
No, I just barely got on Instagram like 2 weeks ago.
I know. I actually noticed that.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because I swear you've been on there for a while.
No.
So welcome to the club.
Thanks, man.
What do you think of Instagram?
It's way better. I was like, I don't get the point of this. I don't understand why you do this. And then
I don't get why you all post pictures of your food and your babies, you know?
Yeah, and now I was like, oh, that's what you do. Well, and actually I enjoy, a lot of people complain about people taking pictures of like sunsets and like their kids and stuff, but I love that shit and I want more of it. Makes me feel good inside. Like, your kid's adorable. That sunset is beautiful. I'm liking that shit. And I used to like feel weird because people would like look at pictures of my phone and it was all just like trees and clouds.
Yeah.
And like somewhere I died a little inside. I stopped taking pictures of those things. I just stopped taking pictures altogether. So now that I'm on Instagram, I'm like, okay, I'll take a picture of that.
So you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook. Do you do Twitter or no?
I tweet a lot. No, I actually don't tweet as much as I'd like to. But yeah, I love Twitter. It's at Tasha Mo, TASHIAMO.
Okay.
I love Twitter. I actually had to defend Twitter to someone who was saying Instagram was better. I was like, how dare you?
Twitter's like the OG social networking.
I just had my 6-year anniversary with Twitter. I know because they emailed me.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We're real happy together.
They sent you a little certificate.
They sent me an email with like a birthday cake.
Are you on anything else? Like, I'm trying to think what else, Google Plus or Snapchat or.
I just made a joke that my Google Plus is blowing up. I'm never on it.
There you go.
No. Is anyone on it? Are you on it?
I think I've signed up, but it seemed kind of boring. It was like talking to yourself when you go there. Nobody's there to listen, but. Do you have a website or no?
No, I don't know. Cause I'm not in touch with, it seems like the main benefit from that is comedy bookers. And not in touch with a lot of comedy bookers. The only one I've worked with is, the infamous David Tribble, doing Tribble Run shows. And I haven't done those, in about a year or so. But yeah, I've been doing more, shows and things like that at Wise Guys, which I know that, from a lot of my comic friends who do shows with Wise Guys, there's a lot of opportunities there.
Yeah.
And I mostly was just lazy about it before. Like anytime I could go to Wise Guys, I was like, oh, it's my day off. But yeah, now that I've been going, I'm like, oh, it's so nice to have like club crowds are a blast. So.
Oh, Wise Guys is great.
Oh yeah, no. And I go to shows there all the time and even like local comic shows because there's so many hilarious people here that do Wise Guys. But yeah, I just barely started going back. It had been like a year since I'd been there until recently. It's fun. There's kind of been a little more camaraderie in the comedy scene because I'm sure you've heard there's was like this weird rift of Wise Guys comics and alt comics and things like that. But now it's just everyone's just been like, fuck it, that's stupid. That doesn't mean anything. And it's so nice to see people coming together.
Yeah.
And just mixing it up.
Well, I've learned a lot about the comedy scene from doing this podcast, you know what I mean? And getting a chance to talk to a lot of you comedians and finding out your stories and kind of, what got them into comedy, and it's kind of interesting to see timelines and see connections, like, some of the names you've mentioned when you started comedy, to see where they're at. Anything coming up that you want to like mention or promote, or any big shows coming up that you're doing?
Sketch Sandwich, if you want to look that up, I promise we'll have an episode out soon. Knickerbockers, if anyone like can even spare like $5, donate towards that. We would love it. We've got a Kickstarter link on the page. I'm starting to, I just did this for the first time last week. It was really fun. Lady Logic on 107.9. I'm going to be on that every Wednesday morning. Well,
congratulations.
Yeah,
That's cool.
It's super fun. It's like 8 to 9.
And what is that about? What's
just people calling in for like relationship advice, and it's
I could use some of that.
Yeah, man, listening. I was like, are you sure you want me for this? I've had like one terrible relationship. No, but all right.
So they just contacted you, say, hey, do you want to do this relationship advice show?
Yeah, as pretty much every connection I've made is just through stand-up. So Crystal Starr, who is hilarious. She's awesome. She's on the Hello Sweetie podcast. She does.
Okay.
She's been coming out and doing stand-up. It's really, really good. And Lexi Papadopoulos. She is one of the DJs on 107.9, and she has been coming out to a couple of mics, and she's great. And so they just asked me to be on it. And so yeah, I did it last week. It was really fun. But yeah, people just call in and ask questions, and just everyone answers.
And is it just you, or is it other people?
It's Lexi, her co-host, Crystal, myself, and they have like these personas though that I didn't know was part of it, and it kind of irked me a little at first because they're like, oh, so Crystal is a hippie mom lady, and they're like, what do you want yours to be? And I was like, I don't know, my go-to is always just like stoner girl, I don't know, and they were like, well, our boss will get mad, you can't do that, and so they're like, oh, well, you'll just be gay lady, and I was like, I don't like labels at all. And so I was like, can I be the human person persona? Can I be the,
But you had fun doing it.
Oh yeah, it was a blast. They're very welcoming, and it was fun enough that on one of the only days I can sleep in, I will get up early and go do it.
You said Wednesday, 8 o'clock?
Yeah, Wednesday, 8 to 9, I believe is
at 107.9.
Yeah.
107.9.
Yeah, it's really fun. And then show-wise, it's weird because this is the first time stand-up has just taken a slight step back in terms of priority, but I'm really excited to do one of my favorite places to perform is Club DJs in Kearns for K-Town Comedy. It's a show that Steve McAnally's been running. It's been going for like 5 years now, and Melissa Merlot is the host every month, and she's awesome. And it's actually my birthday, March 21st. It's like 8 or 8:30.
Well, happy birthday in advance.
Yeah, thank you. I figure I can just use that as a way to get people to feel obligated to go to the show. But it's a really good lineup. Emily Fox, who's kind of new to the comedy scene, it's her first show. I'm really proud of her. Dustin Hagen, Brian Pope, myself, and Levi Rounds. So,
I think awesome. I saw that show posted on Facebook.
Yeah,
I was going to try to make the 21st, right? Yep. Saturday the 21st.
Yeah, I just did one last night, but I really got to promote and just give a shout out to the Sunday night special shows at Wise Guys. They are so fun. Jay Whitaker, Andy Gold, and Christian Piper, I believe, are the regular hosts, and I've done a couple, and they're a blast, and they're free. So if you have like comic friends, or you look it up on Facebook on Wise Guys, all you have to do is show the image at the door, and you get in for free.
Do they really make you show that?
I don't know.
I mean, what if you don't show it? How much is it?
Maybe like $5 or something, but.
Well, because Andy was talking about it when he was on the show, and actually I was going to give him a hard time. I'd be like, well, what if, your phone died, or what if
So ask him if you can describe the image.
I got a tattoo. Does that work?
Oh my God. You should definitely get in for free if you get a tattoo of that. But yeah, so not as many stand-up shows as I'd like.
But follow you probably on Facebook. I mean, do you accept random friend requests, for people to follow you? Like, do you post about them on Twitter too, or just
Yeah,
Facebook?
definitely. So Twitter, Facebook, and I'm really excited because the owner of Sandy Station, awesome dude, Doug Evans, he is been so supportive with comedy and making it a good venue for comedy. And we just met with him, and in May, I'm really excited. I'm going to start running a monthly show. It'll be the first time I've had my own show, and it's called Jokes Illustrated, I think is the title I'm going to go with. And what it is, I was just trying to do something a little different because Nicholas Smith has Dungeons of Comedy. It's an amazing, really fun format. I think it's my favorite. Jason has Comedy and Other Opinions, so it's jokes and then an interview thing. And Jokes Illustrated is going to be, I'm going to get 3 comics, do maybe like 20 minutes each, so they each get a feature set. And then I'm going to get a local artist. They don't actually technically have to be an artist. It could be anyone who can draw. Uh-huh. And I actually am hoping to, Troy and Andrew know Chris Bodley, and I'm a huge fan of him.
His art, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's fantastic. Amazing. And I was like, oh, he would be my get. And they were like, oh, he would absolutely do it. He does improv and all this stuff. So, but basically the artist would just draw for each comic anything they were inspired to draw by their set. So draw out a joke or just, anything, just let them go with it. And maybe like if anyone wants them, make copies and sell them or give them away or something. But yeah, I was just trying to do something a little bit different and also incorporate if I can get some local artists to get in on it. I think that'd be really
great.
Fun.
Yeah. I hope the best. Thank you. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this up? I seriously, I appreciate you sitting down and chatting with me and coming on the podcast. And
I guess the only thing I could think to promote is if you want to just see more comedy, SLC Comedy Scene on Facebook. Go ahead and like that. I mean, they include everything, all the shows in there. But yeah, so just got a lot going on, and hopefully
support Salt Lake Comedy. And go check out Natashia.